Welcome to Taking the Myth, your topical, skeptical discussion show. I'm Stephen Knight, and joining me is Iram Ramzan. Iram, I believe you're now living in mine. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Stephen. How are you?
Good. Very well. Thank you very much. Lots to talk about.
I think what I really want to know, first and foremost, and I'm sure our listeners will also want to know, is Barbie or Oppenheimer?
Oh, well, I've got tickets booked for Oppenheimer on Sunday for the IMAX.
Barbie straight after.
I'm intrigued because, first of all, this is what you've done now. You've opened a can of worms because you've started the show asking a question about movies, which just means I'm going to talk about movies for an hour.
Well, I suppose that'll mean Michael Owen won't listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
So we've lost a listener right there.
Imagine living your life not watching movies and not understanding. I mean, he's a footballer. What are we expecting?
Well, footballers' lives matter too.
That's the funny. They don't know. That's the strange thing about footballers. They are expendable. So there's that. Yeah, but I'm going to watch Oppenheimer because I don't know if you're as much a nerd as me, but the entire thing was filmed using IMAX cameras, which is I don't think that's ever been done before. You usually get certain scenes filmed using IMAX cameras because they're massive and cumbersome and noisy and difficult. But Nolan, the crazy bastard, has filmed the entire film in a giant IMAX format. So I'm going to go just for that. Which one are you going for?
See, I've not really got time to watch any movies now because I'm going on holiday.
I can't believe you just did that to me. What movie are you going to watch? And then I tell you which one I'm going to watch. And you're like, but I'm not going to watch either because I don't have time. I'm very busy. I'm very important, don't you know? I've got so much going on in my life. I don't have time for the cinema, Stephen, you fucking loser. That's what I just heard.
I mean, you said it, not me. I'd be okay. Well, Oppenheimer's too long. I mean,
it's 3 hours, isn't it?
It's 3 hours, which is standard length for a Bollywood movie, which is, so people will be like, oh, so how come you watch Bollywood movies and sit through that, but then you wouldn't watch a 3-hour movie at the cinema? But first of all, they have intervals in Bollywood movies, and also the songs break it up. But can you imagine Oppenheimer with dance numbers? No.
It's a little colourful dance number just before the Trinity test. I don't think
they press the nuclear button.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite Nolan's style. Yeah, Nolan films can be a slog at the best of the time. I'm a massive Nolan fan. The last couple of films haven't moved me as much as some of the earlier stuff. Tenet was a bit of hard work, beautifully made, just far too convoluted.
Yeah.
Still not sure I understand it, to be honest.
Barbie seems like fun, but can I be bothered dressing up in pink? Don't know. I don't think I really have anything pink in my wardrobe either.
I've got pink shirts.
Can I borrow yours?
Certainly, yeah. Coming your way. Right, so that's the film talk done. Let's talk about you living in a Welsh mine. Because I saw one of your latest Daily Mail efforts, and the headline, well, I can't tell if it's a headline. If the headline's like, now that's what you call a deep sleep, and the byline is, forget going up to bed, Iram Ramzan climbed 1,375 feet down an old Welsh slate mine to kip in the world's deepest hotel room. Now, the photos are amazing. Again, like I don't know how long you spend on these, but you've nailed it. The first one, you sat on the bed, perfect pose, amazing pajamas. That's an incredible bedspread, symmetrical, slate finish in the background. the one next to it, if you're about to get your little blue helmet and your head torch.
Oh my God.
And your thermals and your wellies.
Oh yeah.
Oh right, I'm going to struggle to decide which one of these to use as the cover picture for this episode.
Please, I beg of you, don't.
So
can we not just use Oppenheimer?
Your Daily Mail columns slowly morphing into Louis Theroux's Weird Weekends. Do you know that?
I mean,
you BJJ one week, Welsh Mine the next week. Fucking what was the teddy bear one? a couple of weeks ago.
I slept with the teddy bear last year, and then a couple of months ago, I went to Paris to the Ritz. I think that had to be the best one.
Did you just in the Daily Mail HQ? Do they just have like a random ball that they shake for
Yeah,
ideas,
I
like
think
Iram Ramzan and Welsh mine?
I think it's just any excuse to get me to dress up. Basically, I'm like their Asian Barbie.
I'm gonna have a look see who the editor is and just send in some suggestions. I think
I think
I can.
yeah, a few of my friends have actually been doing that. They have been saying, right, I'm gonna send a message to your editor to send you to this job.
It's
Um,
like bungee
yeah.
jumping in North Korea.
Oh my god, that sounds like my idea of a nightmare. I mean, it's not the heights, but it's the falling off something that
I
terrifies
thought you
me.
was gonna say it's not the heights; it's just the general authoritarianism of
Yeah, I'm a bit
North.
scared of dictators.
Your dictator's not great. So tell me about this Welsh mine because, I mean, I'm just getting my head around this. There's a accommodation in this place.
Right. So basically, there's this company in Wales,
Not a
and
real country, by the way,
they,
but go on.
oh no, you've alienated our one Welsh listener. So
Good.
there's a company that organises these weird adventure days out. So not like bungee jumping, but free falling off a cliff and zip wiring, things like that. And they go in caves and disused mines. And the owner just decided to have the idea of, oh, why not camp down here? So over a couple of years, they just started building this sort of chalet type thing down 1,300 feet down the mine. And so there's about, I think it sleeps up to 8 people, and I slept in the grotto, which is the more romantic room because
Looks
I'm
lovely.
obviously worth it. It does, it had all these electric candles, so it's very nice and cozy in there. Um, it's very safe down there. You are given the proper gear before you go
Don't know.
down.
Have you seen The Descent, the movie?
Yeah. Oh no, I've not seen the movie. No, I think watching that would have just creeped me out. I
Yeah.
think.
So, I mean, is there running water down there? Do you have bathroom facilities? Did you just put a bucket in the corner and say, see you in the morning?
No, there's a proper toilet, and this is going to be so. I can't believe we're talking about toilet stuff right now. But
It's my
if
level.
there's a proper toilet, if you want to do a number one, and anything more, you kind of have to use these compost bags, and then
Oh.
a lucky staff member will get to carry out all that rubbish with them on the way back up.
So, are you completely of an evening? Is like night, and they don't come back to the morning, or is there people down there like staff
Yeah,
and other
yeah.
people?
Yeah,
Okay, so
so the owner was down there, and the people so there are two staff members who went down with us, and there's a sort of it's almost like a camping area. You get a place to sit and eat. The food there is rehydrated food packs. The stuff that you take on camping. So all it takes is that you heat it up for about I think 15-20 minutes, and then you get food. And you sit there, maybe sit down for a chat to your fellow sleepers and guests, and then when you're tired, you just go to bed. And
did you get a good night's sleep?
do you know what? I did kind of briefly wake up in the middle of the night.
Where am
And
I?
no, it felt like I'd been asleep for hours. I thought, oh God, is it time to get up already? Because genuinely, I woke up, I thought, God, I've been asleep all night. And it was about maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I went back to sleep. And yeah, I slept really, really well because I can't sleep with any noise or light. I am a snowflake.
Oh my god, you are me. I now sleep with earbuds in
Yes.
and an eye mask.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Because and if someone comes to my house in the middle of the night, I'm fucked. Like I've got nothing. I am not waking up for anything. But yeah,
If I get burgled, I'm fucked as
yeah.
well. So
Oh, All right, well, that's Welsh Mines, where you now live. So, you know what's big news at the minute, and it broke yesterday. We were what day is it? It's Thursday, isn't it? We're recording this on a Thursday, and that's these endless Kevin Spacey allegations and trials that have been going on forever. Multiple allegations from many people, all men, I believe. Kevin Spacey's an out gay man now. And the allegations range from groping to sexual acts, unconsented sexual acts as well. And these accusations have cost him everything. At the time, he was kicked off his show, House of Cards, which was like the biggest thing on Netflix at the time. He got completely edited out of a Ridley Scott film. I can't remember the name of the film, but I don't know if he'd filmed the entire movie as a certain character. And then when these allegations broke, they recast it, and Ridley Scott went back and refilmed all the scenes with this new actor to write him out the movie. And so this man's had his career completely destroyed, his livelihood, reputation, everything's gone, all solely on the basis of allegations made against him. These have gone to court, and he's been found not guilty on all counts. So there's a lot to unpack here, really, isn't there, in terms of, trial by public opinion, innocent until proven guilty, obviously, seems to be a concept lost on a lot of people. But there's also the added sort of adage about there's no smoke without fire, and some of these things may be difficult to prove in a court of law given the historical things. What are your thoughts on Kevin Spacey and his predicament and the ruling yesterday?
I mean, I know what you mean about the whole no smoke without fire, but he has been found not guilty now.
Yeah.
It was the same with Johnny Depp. That should be the end of the matter, really. And Johnny Depp seems to be doing absolutely fine now. But I was reading that some industry sources were saying that Kevin Spacey would just have better luck in Europe and not really come back to Hollywood. So, there's one who said to Page Six, which is an American website or magazine, that it's not a matter of can Kevin work again, but who will want to work with him. That's the problem. So you have other men such as, say Woody Allen to Roman Polanski, who also have had, we know what their reputations are like, and they're all working in Europe.
Yeah.
So, and then we know how woke Hollywood has become as well. So I just don't know whether Kevin Spacey will manage to find work in Hollywood again. It might be possible, maybe in a couple of years' time. Who knows? But yeah, I think Johnny Depp, has most of his success been outside of Hollywood rather than there, because he's I think he was in France recently, and Dior gave him the most lucrative men's fragrance deal in history, and
they were one of the rare group of people, or the rare organisation that actually stuck by him. I think he's never going to hit the heights of those pirate movies again, and I actually think they were on their way to making another pirate movie with him until a lot of these allegations came out. I can't be sure. I'll have to check that.
And he did open the Cannes Film Festival a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
So it's, so these men have got, what do you call it, a clean bill of health in Europe, but it's harder to come back in Hollywood.
Just from a purely business perspective, I mean, I think we're kidding. I think we sometimes get caught up in, when it comes to Hollywood, we sometimes get caught up in what's the right thing to do, whereas that doesn't matter to the Hollywood moguls. It's about the bottom line. Is Johnny Depp bankable anymore? Is Kevin Spacey bankable anymore? Is it worth possibly ruffling the feathers of the general public by having someone controversial in a big project where the stakes are large? Cinema's difficult at the moment. I think we're slowly going to move away, well, very quickly actually, move away from these big 200 million, 500 million Hollywood tentpoles. You look at The Flash recently, didn't do particularly well on its budget, and the star of that movie was embroiled in a lot of controversy for many months leading up to the release, Ezra Miller. That must have impacted it in some way. That and the movie was pretty shit. Didn't help matters much.
House of Cards, after Kevin Spacey left, was... I mean, I just couldn't watch it.
I feel so sorry for, what's the actress called? Robin Wright. She's brilliant. In everything I've seen her in, she's brilliant. And she went from playing this remarkably brilliant supporting role to having the entire series put on her shoulders for that last season because Kevin Spacey wasn't there anymore. And she got so underserved by the writers and the makers of that show. Is there something to be said about studios just staying the course and saying, look, we're not going to fire people or take any action against people if they've not been proven guilty of these offences? It's a difficult one, though, isn't it? I suppose sometimes it is the right thing to suspend people, get them out of the public eye whilst we figure it out. But by that time, it's almost like the justice process is almost the punishment in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, even though he's been cleared, regardless of what you might think or what people think about what really happened, whether they believe him or not, you're right. It's he's had years of these accusations, of living under the shadow of these accusations, really, and it's just, you can't really go back to the way things were before, even if he's been cleared. It's just, I think too much has happened since then. Too much time has passed. So I'm sure he'll be okay. I mean, he's rich and famous. That he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think
but he might go
done.
down the Woody Allen, Johnny Depp.
What, marry his stepdaughter? Oh, okay, got you.
Probably
no, I'm with you now. Yeah, I think I think a lot of independent studios will maybe jump at the chance to say, "Oh yeah, we'll get Kevin Spacey in our movie," and not obviously he won't command the same fee that he has in Hollywood. But I can't see him making a movie with Netflix anymore or a big Ridley Scott tentpole or anything like that. I think it's done. The important question here, and I need you to think long and hard about this because it's really important. I have a T-shirt with Kevin Spacey's character on it from the movie Seven, directed by David Fincher. It's a wonderful design. It's taken from the... Have you seen Seven?
Oh, yes, I have.
Right.
Great
And
movie.
it's great, that great scene where Kevin Spacey's character walks into the police station. He's got blood all over him and he hands himself in and holds his arms out. It's basically a picture of that. And I think it's got the 7 deadly sins behind him. It's a really good shirt. I stopped wearing that for a little while when he was at the center of all these allegations, because I know it's a character, I know it's a movie, but I'm still walking around with Kevin Spacey's face all over my chest. Am I allowed to wear that again? Can I dust that off?
Well, that depends. I mean, if you want a role in a Hollywood movie, which I'm sure is on the cards for you, then probably not.
I'm getting no work in any mainstream. The shit I've said on social media alone is enough to stop me ever being anywhere mainstream.
You will lose all your online funding.
Yeah.
Once you wear that T-shirt.
So I have to dust. I mean, somewhere in the back of the wardrobe next to my Gary Glitter T-shirt and my Lost Profits merchandise.
And your Jimmy Savile memorabilia.
my Jim will fix it badge.
Oh my god.
Oh god. All right. Well, I suppose the next big thing to talk about, it's been at the heart of the media cycle in the UK, especially these last few weeks, and that's the bank Coutts, who I'd never heard of before, and I think that's because it's essentially for very wealthy people, if I'm not mistaken. It's owned by
I
NatWest.
obviously have an account because I'm mega
you're VIP
wealthy.
there, aren't you? Yeah. I wonder what the overheads are living in a mine. So, from what I can see, this Nigel Farage, ex-MP, politician in the UK.
Politician, yes.
Controversial figure, but very influential, has a lot of support. His attitudes seem to chime quite well with a significant amount of the British public, regardless of what you think. He does blow a lot of hot air on occasion. He's very anti-immigration, of course.
I have met him as well.
You've met him?
I have.
Did you get a seething sense of evil from the man, or just a normal bloke?
I mean, Yeah, there was evil in the air, definitely.
Oh, there, the evil.
I think I saw the letter 666 on his scalp as well.
Yeah.
So,
I
you
mean, he's
know.
probably been one of the most influential politicians in our lifetime in terms of he's pretty much the reason we are no longer part of the EU in many ways.
I mean, whether you like him or not, he has been very influential.
Yeah,
Do you have a Farage T-shirt?
I actually don't. Strangely, I'll have to look into that. I've never really been a big fan of the UKIP project. It was always a bit jingoistic. I would cringe when I'd see UKIP flags outside people's houses and things like that.
Yeah, but he really does.
He tapped into
You know,
something.
he taps into something, and he does rattle the elite.
Yeah,
Um,
national populism, I think, is the way of looking at it. But I suppose we're getting away from the story here. He had a bank account with Coutts, and they closed it on him and told him he couldn't bank with them anymore. And he suspected foul play. He had this sneaky suspicion that this was politically motivated, and did his best to get some information. And it turned out he was bang on the money. They had
mm,
decided on completely on political grounds that they could not offer him their services anymore because of his political beliefs, and they obviously had a dossier on him.
yeah, it was like what it was a 36-page dossier or something.
Yeah, sounded like something. It sounded like looking at it. It looked like something the Guardian would have written. It was proper like far right, this right wing fascist talking points, adjacent this and that. And what's worse than that is somebody quite high up at Coutts fed the BBC this what turns out to be a lie at first, that his account was actually closed because it didn't meet the threshold monetarily wise to have an account with them, which turned out not only not to be true, but was a breach of financial confidentiality rules. So she's gone. She's resigned.
It's Alison Rose is gone.
That's her, is it? She's an
Is
idiot. Clearly an idiot. So that's a good decision. And now that one of the CEOs has gone.
Yes, I think just earlier today.
So I suppose the larger issue here is, this has been going on a lot in different ways, from PayPal closing down people's accounts for political reasons, people's patrons being closed down, things like that. I think it's something similar has happened to a few other people as well. I know a few people who are like gender critical have had their accounts closed. If they're like activists, making money from it. Etsy are closing people's pages down if they're selling like adult human female t-shirts. So there seems
Not
to be.
Etsy. I thought Etsy was supposed to be like proper gentle and
Yeah, they
no.
shut someone's page down recently for having like detransitioners lives matter t-shirts or some words to that effect. It wasn't offensive, it was just it used the words detransitioners, and that kind of violated their conduct on hate. So it seems like banks now, people who are incredibly privileged, if you are the top dog or somebody of influence at a banking firm, you are very rich, you are very well educated, you have come from a place of privilege, haven't you? I think that's fair to say.
I think yeah, and Alison Rose. I think she was reportedly on around what £5 million salary or something.
Just the 5
So
mil a year.
yeah, I mean, it's just pocket change, isn't it? And I suppose when you earn that kind of money, rich banker, so you kind of, I suppose, they sort of feel almost guilty and ashamed for earning that much money. So what do? They tap into the woke narrative and think, oh, we're going to pursue social justice and diversity and inclusion because
Yeah.
that's what banking's all about. Well, no, it's not. Your job is just to fucking deal with people's money. You're not there to change the world.
That's a great point, and I think what you're saying isn't just speculation. They actually were signed up to a lot of these diversity inclusion things. I forget what they're called at this moment in time. I know the Spectator did an article on it this morning. It's something like category B something or other. You know what? I'm going to find out because this isn't live, and I can just look it up and sound smarter, can't I? It won't be a second.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so from The Spectator, it says the Coutts scandal can be traced back to the day 2 years ago when the bank proudly announced that it had achieved B Corp status. B Corp is a little known non-profit which operates a scheme a bit like Stonewall's Diversity Champions program. Companies
God.
that sign up and jump through the necessary hoops will receive a certificate declaring that they're ethical and inclusive. The article goes on to say B Corp's website declares certified B corporations are leaders in the global movement for an inclusive, equitable, and regenerative economy. It adds that the scheme seeks to measure a company's entire social and environmental impact. So that's from The Spectator. So basically, they're signing up to all these ultra woke diversity inclusion initiatives when really they should just be focusing on finance and serving customers and the general
Yeah.
public.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you see a lot of these corporations now, including these banks, they proudly wave the pride flag and the one that has the trans colors on it now. They're very, very inclusive when it comes to LGBT plus QI 1, 2, 3, blah, 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 right. And yet allowed dictators from countries where gay people are punished simply for being who they are to bank with them. So
Yeah,
you just think, so you're very all pro LGBT rights for people who are here, and you're very, you go on about your woke credentials, but you're happy to take money from some, plutocrat from God knows where, who'll imprison a gay person in that country. How the hell does that work? If you're going to be really inclusive and all about social justice and change, then why does it only go one way? Why is it that you can accept all these dictators and oligarchs, but then you dislike Nigel Farage? I mean, they were saying that his values, that they had a problem with his values, and having him as a client is not good for the bank's image. But, unless Farage himself says he banks with Coutts, and who really knew that he was their customer?
yeah.
Why does it hurt their reputation and their image?
They've just thought we can fuck Farage here. Won't this be fun? Won't we be great? We'll take down this horrible, horrible man. And it's backfired spectacularly. And I really am enjoying the fact that when a company now oversteps its mark into ideological waters to punish people for not breaking the law, not doing anything dodgy financially that we know of, but simply having opinions that they find distasteful or they don't particularly adhere to themselves. And it gets a bit more complicated because obviously a lot of people will be thinking private companies can do what they want. The banks are like partly state owned after the banking crisis, and the government had to bail them out. So it's like a lot of the general public's hard earned tax pounds have gone into helping these banks. So it's not just a company deciding what it wants to do. We should have a say at the same time. So I mean, we've been
Yeah.
saying this a little while, but feels like on the terms of wokeness, when it oversteps the mark too far, and it's a big story, they do seem to get a kick up the arse. It does seem like if it goes in front of a court or it goes in front of the general public now, these people trying to push an ultra progressive authoritarian agenda get told where to stick it.
Yeah, I think the mistake they made was picking on someone like Nigel Farage,
Yes,
because he was not going to let this go, and
he's a
he
scrapper, isn't he?
really ran. He's a scrapper, yeah. And okay, I think towards the end he did start milking it a little bit, and I was
Yeah.
sick of hearing about the story. Jesus Christ, when's it going to be over? But he really knows what his rights are and how to tap into the zeitgeist. So he was not going to let this go, and that was their mistake by picking on somebody like him. And we've heard of this happening to ordinary members of the public who have just have no way of
Don't have Nigel Farage's profile or platform to bang a drum about it. They just get
exactly.
they just get told.
They just get debanked, and that's
Yeah,
it. They're
debanked.
not sure debanked. They're not really sure what to do about it, and they're little people. with no source of redress. So they just think, okay, well, might as well just go with another bank. What can I do? Whereas someone like Nigel Farage does have clout, and he knows exactly how to hit these people where it hurts. And now you've had two big people from the bank resign.
You know what's annoying though, in most of these cases, that they're fucking cowards, because the only reason we know the reasons for Nigel Farage being debanked is because there was such a fuss kicked up about it. They had to they had to eventually be transparent because there was so much public scrutiny and interest. Now, if you're, like you say, the little guy, the normal guy, if you're me or whoever, and you get treated like this, when you ask for a specific reason as to why you've been banned, debanked, or whatever, you just get corporate speak about, you don't align with our values. We have terms on,
Mhm.
and it's so vague, and it doesn't tell you the specific transgression you are guilty of. So they have like a plausible deniability built in, because it's so mysterious. And it's almost like, if you generally believe in your values and you generally believe you're doing the right thing with these people, you should say specifically, well, you're not going to trade with us or sell your wares on our online store because you sell this specific thing and we think this specific thing is bad because. But they don't have the balls to do that. They just hide behind legalese or really vague concepts like policies on hate speech, which they never clearly define. So
I mean, saying a man can't be a woman is deemed as bloody hate speech now. So
yeah,
how do you how do you define what the hell hate speech is? And the thing is, yeah, Coutts is a private company, but the thing is, a private business. Yeah, fair enough if this was public sector and they talk about some sort of social responsibility that they have to the public, fine. But they're a private company. Their job is just to make profit, but doing so within the rules and within the law, not breaking any major rules there. Your job is just to make a profit. Why does it matter whether you are doing some good as well? But I guess maybe it's because of consumer capitalism. We're conscious consumers now. We don't want to just buy something. We want to feel like we're doing some good while buying something. This is not just any t-shirt. This is responsibly sourced t-shirt that will also pay for some child's education in Africa and also help some trans kid living somewhere. I don't know. I'm trying to. This is just.
I've got a
Oh, and while
secondary.
you're at it, leave your pronouns in the comments below. It's just a farce. It
I've got a
really
secondary
is.
theory here. A lot of these are incredibly comfortable yet ambitious, socially, they're sort of like ambitious, blood-sucking parasites that have spent their entire career trying to race to the top, chasing money, and they have this feeling of power yet emptiness, because that's their entire life. You can't work at that level at a corporation and earn £5 million a year without living your job, and that means being on call 24/7. That means working all the hours available to you, the stress, the constant, feeling of importance, and I just feel it's like, what can I do to make my life feel like it's got some meaning, that I'm doing
Well,
something
go
good?
fucking
I know
volunteer.
we'll
Go
topple a
volunteer
fascist.
somewhere.
In their
I mean,
mind, they're toppling a fascist, aren't they? It's Nigel Farage, because they don't live in the real world either. They don't have any working class friends, obviously.
Well, go down to the local pub and talk to some people. Go volunteer at
Yeah.
your local charity shop, or go into an old people's home to really relate to the public. Why? How on earth is this going to make you feel any better? It's just backfired on them spectacularly, and just made them look so out of touch.
What
And
a
actually,
stupid thing to do.
it's made people sympathise with Nigel Farage.
That's the how.
He's now champion of the people.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Coutts.
Cunts. So gonna get into trouble now. I'm gonna have my account closed now.
Yeah. That's your VIP Coutts card getting rejected next time you go into fucking Waitrose. But yeah, like I say, he's milking it. So we'll see if he's still talking about this when we next record. What are we talking about next? Because there are many things to choose from. Now, There's the RAF recruitment leaks about useless white men. I feel
Well, white
personally
men are
attacked.
useless. Next.
Next, done. The Swedish Quran burning, which just feels like history repeating itself.
Oh my God. I mean, that's just been going on and on and on.
Yeah. I
What
mean,
the
there's
hell?
something that's new, which, talking about backfiring spectacularly, it's Sadiq Khan's new
Mate.
May campaign.
Do you know what? I didn't know what that was at first. I read that as maate, and I was like, what is that some sort of, is that a foreign language? And I thought I felt so stupid. And then I realised it's May, and I thought
Yeah.
that's even more
May.
stupid than
It's,
me walking around going maate to people.
I think, for anyone who doesn't know, Sadiq Khan is our ultra woke Muslim mayor of London. He started a new campaign, hashtag have a word campaign. It's basically about tackling quote unquote problematic behavior. Now, the concept is that if you're a male and you're in the company of fellow males who you know, and you see them overstepping the mark with a woman, maybe some sexist language, maybe some inappropriate touching. So the idea is if you see your male friends engaging in misogyny, sexism, whatever you just say mate to them. I know it's mate.
Say maate.
Mate. Say mate to them. Say mate. So it's the word mate, but with 3 A's. It's you signaling to your friend in code that they're overstepping the mark. And I think when people try these new campaigns where they try to insert a slogan into a social problem, it becomes very cringe very quickly, doesn't it? You're trying to, yeah.
So
And people, I mean, first of all, people are annoyed with Sadiq Khan for spending so much time on these woke pet political projects when there are real serious issues in London right now, for a start. The second thing, which I thought was fucking hilarious, which I've joined in with myself, is every time a trans woman has found to have done something problematic, people are just responding with the word mate.
I saw that.
Now, which is
maate, come on, stop it.
which is quite funny and quite astute, really. So, what do you, as a woman, Iram,
as an adult human female, isn't it also outsourcing women's public safety to
the general public?
General public? Because women in London don't trust the Met Police. You know, you've also had the Casey report, which just shows how institutionally sexist and misogynist or racist they are, and they don't really trust the police force to protect women, especially when you've had police officers that have been, going around raping and groping.
Yeah, that's some very high-profile cases of that, haven't we, in the UK?
We have, and but never mind. We've got Sadiq Khan's maate campaign to tackle this epidemic of violence and misogyny against women. I mean, does he even know how to define women? By the way, number one. And how much money has he spent on this poster campaign telling men to tell their friends off if they have leer at women or something? It's just,
I think it comes from the home, me. For them kind of attitudes, I don't think they come from other mates necessarily. I think it's either having a terrible dad or not having a dad. For young men, I think that's the biggest thing. I don't know how to measure this, and I can't really speak to it because I've not experienced misogyny. But I would assume, or at least hope, that if we were to plot a line of misogyny going back 20, 30 years, it would be on the downside now. It would be going down. I don't think there is as much overtly sexist and misogynist behaviour out there. Am I just clueless on this topic?
well, you are, as the RAF would say, useless white man.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, there is some antisocial behaviour on the tube sometimes. You get it particularly late at night. And I've seen it on on the trams in Greater Manchester as well, because there aren't many ticket inspectors, or they
Yeah.
don't do anything. There's hardly any police out on the streets, so people just feel like they can get away with bad behaviour because there aren't going to be any consequences to it. So I'm not really surprised to find Sadiq Khan rather, indulging in such a stupid campaign. Because do you remember when there was an advert that was banned from the tube because it had a wedding cake on it?
What?
And yeah, don't you remember?
No, I remember
There was a
the
wedding. There was a
sorry, go on.
wedding cake advert which was banned from the tube because it was promoting unhealthy food.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And
Let them
his
eat cake.
response, let them not eat cake.
Yeah.
Let them not eat cake, rather. And there was that advert as well. Are you beach body ready?
Yeah, I
And he's
remember
going on
that.
about how, oh God, that was ridiculous. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd. I think he just has he has no idea on policies or how to make the capital safe. So he's
Nanny
just
state stuff,
indulging.
isn't it?
It is, and he's just indulging in what I think the writer Julie Burchill described as box ticking and prissy campaigns. To make it look like he's doing something, but doesn't actually achieve anything.
I think that's it. And I think sometimes that's the restrictions of politics because, to get anything significant done that really helps takes time, effort, years, and planning to the point where you're not going to be in a position of power anymore when it comes to fruition, if it ever does. And you might start some incredible long project to do something that when the next guy comes in goes, no thanks, and cancels it. So I think a lot of these politicians focus on, well, what are vanity projects? What can I do that gives the appearance of making some sort of impactful change so that when I'm done and out of the game, I can say, well, I fronted a campaign against misogyny. I clamped down on, sugary, high calorific cakes on the subway, or,
I banned cake from the tube. There
I
you go.
I took down a scantily clad model adverts in the name of body positivity. I banged the drum about transphobic hate crime, which he's tweeted some out a couple of weeks ago saying that London had fallen down the rankings in terms of transgender rights in Europe.
How?
And
Sorry,
I'm like,
how?
I'm thinking, name the specific right they don't have since the last time this survey was carried out. What are you talking about when you say rights? This is what really annoys me. You can never get
Basically,
to the specifics
basically,
of these things.
some pervert who dresses up as a woman and insists everyone calls him a woman when he's not actually trans and hasn't gone through any type of gender reassignment surgery. He's just decided you know he wants to go and into a woman's changing room, any facilities, and what your rights are being your right not to do that. That's been eroded. Yeah, no,
I tell you,
I'm
did you not
not
see
buying
that case the other day on Twitter? And that got a maate response.
that. The guy in the blue
Yes,
dress.
clearly a bloke in a dress was fucking livid because he went to his local leisure centre in, I believe, Sheffield, and he went to the front desk to check in, and he was given the key or the access to the unisex changing room. And he used the words himself like fucking angry or fucking furious or something because he's clearly a woman. He's in a dress, for God's sake. And the woman at the till, rather than giving the key to the female changing area, which there would be young girls in there as well, give him the key to the unisex room, which is very telling because it's clearly not about a safe space then. If it's the unisex changing rooms, why isn't that enough? This person wants to be in the room with women. Now, and it's such an entitled attitude. Like he said he's fucking furious. He was basically, the woman on the desk is obviously clearly not blind. And treated him.
Well done.
Yeah, and it's like she deserves a fucking medal, but he's so fucking hungry. He does not think for a second how important it is not to make other women feel uncomfortable or unsafe.
Why would he give a shit? He's just one of those typical
Yeah,
entitled blokes. That's what gives it away.
exactly.
The mansplaining, even when you're in a dress, doesn't fucking go away. And I think for such people, and I'm not talking about people with actual gender dysphoria.
Yeah.
There are people like that out there, but a very tiny number, by the way. For the majority of such people, it's like some sort of sick fantasy or perversion. They get a kick out of wearing women's clothes and having access to women's spaces so they can make them feel uncomfortable, leering at them while they start undressing. It's like the modern version of flashing, really, isn't it? If he was on a bus and he or in the park and he opened up his coat and flashed them his bits, people would rightly condemn that, and he'd get arrested. But because he identifies as a woman, and he wants to be called Susan now, and he's in a woman's changing room, that's okay. We're supposed to give in to that. No, fuck you, mate.
Maate. No, this is crazy though, because you've nailed on the head here. This crazy gender ideology is forcing women and young girls to play a part in somebody else's sexual fetish. Now that might be a shocking thing to say to a lot of people. And how many times are we going to have to say, we're not talking about people with gender dysphoria. We're not talking about with people who are genuinely struggling, genuinely going through something. What I'm saying is the ideology you set out and told us we all must affirm and adhere to. Tell me which part of that ideology safeguards against men with fetishes, sexual fetishes. This is a thing. This is a real thing that happens. Men will dress up as women to get sexual gratification. This is a real thing. Tell me what about your ideology prevents that from happening. The answer is nothing. And that's a huge problem. And if you don't think that's a huge problem, you don't understand safeguarding concerns of women and children. It's
You really don't
incredible.
give a shit. I mean, women's safety seems to have taken a back seat, all because a few fucking men in dresses are throwing tantrums. I mean, talk about entitled. It's just, it's like they had the audacity to go around. It's like they're saying, the best the best women are actually men.
Yeah.
What makes a woman a man in a dress?
Yeah. You see the new female snooker champion?
Wait, what?
The new women's snooker champion in some divisions now a man, by the way.
Wait, what? Is this Jamie Hunter? That was, I think,
Yes.
isn't that an old story? Oh,
No, is it? Have I been duped by a?
I've been duped for nearly a year, Steve. There was this story that came out last year about Jamie Hunter, who came out as trans in 2019.
I thought she'd won something else.
Has he? She?
Maybe not. Let me have a look. What have I been done here? No, Hunter is the English champion, and this is from a tweet from the 12th of May, 2023.
Yeah, okay.
So it is this year. But I mean,
how much I keep in touch with snooker.
I was teaching my niece to play pool at the weekend, which is a much smaller table. She's 16 now, so I don't think she's going to get any taller. And it was clear that she had a massive disadvantage just from height. And I'm an average size male, and she couldn't stretch over to reach certain shots that I found perfectly comfortable. And I'm an averaged size male. Women need their own classes, otherwise they will never. It's gonna be at some point. I don't know if it's probably happened, but at some point in some sport, the top 3 podium is going to be, and in a women's sport, all going to be blokes. If it hasn't already happened.
Well, I mean, I think Italy is sort of going about it the right way. This year's Miss Italia beauty pageant stated that only biological women are allowed to compete. So over 100 transgender men entered the contest. Basically, they're still women.
Oh my god, that just gave me a headache.
And then there was a trans woman who was crowned Miss Netherlands as well. I mean, oh, Jesus Christ.
There is an aspect of play along with this. Pretend you can't see the obvious, otherwise we'll destroy you, you bigot.
And now you've had Keir Starmer who's saying a woman is an adult female human.
Yeah. Do you see how Pink News spun that?
I did not. What have they said?
I will tell you because I responded to it. Fuck Pink News.
Did.
I'm still bitter that they described me as an anti-trans YouTuber in one of their articles. Fucking YouTuber.
Anti-trans
Fucking YouTuber.
podcaster.
Yeah, podcaster, reporter, writer, general shitster, a fucking YouTuber.
Useless white man.
Thank you very much. No, I jest. Obviously, the anti-trans label is just designed to smear. Nothing of the sort. But Pink News headline, and this you'll love this. Keir Starmer repeats anti-trans dog whistle, claiming a woman is an adult female.
Oh my God.
It's Orwell shit. I think this is what I wrote in response. Sorry, I'm just going to quote myself, Iram, if that's okay. Are you ready for my genius? I wrote, because irrational authoritarian ideologies cannot survive open scrutiny, its proponents are reduced to pretending that accurate, inconvenient descriptions of reality have sinister double meanings. It's a fucking mouthful, innit?
Wow.
But that's it. They have to pretend that an accurate description of reality is sinister. Because they can't argue their ideology is built on a house of cards. And once you start saying very obvious things that everyone else can understand, they have to switch tactics and pretend those very obvious and real things are bigoted or secret code.
So what's interesting is I think quite recently, I think I've seen you also tweet about British humanists as well.
Oh yeah.
What is their policy on biological sex?
So they're in campaigns now, not from the British Humanists, just in general, about defining sex in terms of women's spaces purely on biological grounds, which I think makes the most sense. And British Humanists have opposed this and basically said it is a backdoor into. I mean, I would first of all, I'm paraphrasing this. I read it weeks ago, so I would urge people to read the wording themselves. But from what I got from it, their wording was saying this is often used as a way to remove transgender rights. And a lot of the patrons for the British Humanist Association have women have disassociated and left. And I actually cancelled my membership over it, which I really didn't want to do at first. I thought maybe they could release some sort of reasonable statement, because they released this statement about their viewpoint on this issue, and they received so much pushback from members, people online. It must have been the most pushback they've ever received on any issue whatsoever, and they just completely ignored it. They didn't address it, and I was kind of waiting for an official response from them, and it never came. So after a week or so, I cancelled my membership and let them know why. I basically told them that. Actually, I'm just going to read what I sent them because I want to make sure I get this right.
Are you quoting yourself?
I'm going to quote myself again.
Is this what you do when you have conversations with people? As the great Stephen
Knight, it's the great Stephen Knight. Well, Stephen looked thoughtfully into the distance and opined. Okay. Dear Stephen, we have been advised by your bank that the direct debit instruction for your membership and or donations to Humanists has been cancelled. Blah, blah, blah. They're asking me why. So I just responded with, hi, I've cancelled my direct debit due to Humanists UK's stance on single-sex spaces. I cannot support any organisation that pretends human sex is assigned, which is a word they use in their statement, or props up a quasi-religious ideology that harms women's rights and children. And I was disappointed to note a complete lack of public response to all those voicing their concerns about this. So that's all I responded with. It just feels like their wording and their output just reeked of gender ideology. And I just think if you're these humanist and atheist groups, really, for me, wasn't really, it was about upholding Enlightenment principles, science, common sense, logic, and
I thought it's all about rationality.
Yeah.
And then you're buying into this new dogma. I mean, how does that make you any better than the people who believe in organized religion, who who just believe in their religion because of faith and don't really challenge their beliefs much. They just believe in it out of faith. Whereas, and then it's the same with this. It's the same principle. Why are you buying into this ideology? Where's your due diligence?
That's a great question. And one of the reasons that I used to really lean into the whole anti-religion humanist thing is because they were at the forefront of noticing and banging the drum about how conservative religion treats women. Women always get the shaft when it comes to conservative Islam, right-wing Christianity. It's always their rights and freedoms that are the first to go. everywhere you look. And I'll often hear people throw it out at me that, oh, it's funny how you're suddenly interested in women's rights when it's transgenderism involved. And it's like, I've been banging on about the way religion has treated women since I started saying things publicly. That's undeniable. And for me, this is just an extension of that. It's another religion, another faith-based proposition. And the first people on the chopping block are women.
Biological women.
Biological women. The proper accounting will be done on this eventually when it all calms down and we realise that we can't bend reality to the will of a few individuals. we won't even understand how we got to a position where men were stood on the podium in women's sporting events.
I just hope you're right and this madness does end, because once the genie's out of the bottle, that's it really.
Shall we see if we've got any questions?
One person's asked, should Test cricket in Manchester be banned forever? I mean, it's always fucking raining.
Cut out the middleman, ban Test cricket.
No, we can't ban cricket.
To be fair, my mates are always trying to get me there, and I'm not a big fan of cricket, but they always tried to get me there as like, oh, you can sit in the sun and drink all day, because they know me. They know I like to drink, and they know I like the sun. However, we've not had much of sun of late, have we? And I can sort of sit in the sun and drink without the distraction and annoyance of cricket.
I like cricket. Maate. It's never not gonna make me fucking laugh. It's so absurd. I'm gonna try that one on my mum next time you say something.
She's giving you earache.
Like Maate. She's like, what?
What have we got? Findus has asked about Iram going down a mine, so people are genuinely interested in this. Okay, this is a good one. Sam Wendell. In the face of institutional capture, should people quit or stay and fight? It's something I'm struggling with over the British Humanists. The woke are supposed to be, 11% of the population. Obviously, it'll be higher in institutions, but still, we should be winning.
That's a good question. Oh gosh, I would really struggle with this, because it is a good point. Do you stay and fight and overturn that woke minority? Because the thing is, if you quit, then you leave all these, purple-haired idiots in charge. Whereas if you stay and stand your ground,
it's finding that balance.
Yeah. I mean, you quit British Humanist for good reasons. Maybe if enough people quit and they start losing members and money, then they'll realise where their priorities lie.
That's it, because sometimes quitting and drawing a line in the sand is actually fighting the good fight. If you let these people know how deeply unpopular, and it wasn't so much what they'd done, it's the fact, or what they said, it's the fact that they publicly ignored all the concerns being put forward to them. And it wasn't just general social media outrage, it was patron after patron of their organisation withdrawing their support. So you'd think that would warrant some sort of clarification or statement or consultation, something public at least, but nothing, unfortunately. I can't do it anymore. I can't finance a company that, or an organisation that in any way, shape or form upholds gender ideology. I think the only thing we've got left now, looking around, is the National Secular Society, rather. In America, I think Atheists for Liberty, they haven't been infected by identity politics. But if the National Secular Society goes down the pan, I will cry myself to sleep, because they truly are an inclusive, diverse organisation that welcomes all people of all backgrounds, ethnicities, faiths, political persuasions, and they don't tend to play overt progressive identity politics. They have a remit, and it's promoting secularism wherever they can and opposing anyone who threatens secular values. And that's perfect, and they do that really well. If they start pushing trans ideology in there, I will cry. I will cry.
It's ridiculous, because the majority of people are actually think like us.
Yeah.
And yet they're scared by this tiny minority just because they shout really loudly.
I think I may have got a question or two on the old book face, you know. Simon Evans has asked, has anyone spotted a mate poster anywhere near the women's entrance to any London mosques?
Oh,
Sick burn, Simon. I think that rhetorical question speaks for itself. Is there anything else we haven't covered that we need to cover desperately?
I think I really wanted to lay in on Tobias Ellwood.
Oof, I've got time. I've got time if you want to. It's up to you.
I mean, Tobias Ellwood. I mean, where do I start with Tobias, mate?
I think we start with the beautiful, free, progressive utopia that Afghanistan now is under Taliban rule. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the gist.
Tobias Ellwood is a Tory MP, and he put out a video in which he claimed that Afghanistan is a country transformed, quote unquote, under Taliban rule. He's chair of the Defence Select Committee, by the way. He sparked outrage after he shared this video, and he claimed that the streets of the country are relatively safe and corruption is down. And he was also urging the UK to reopen its embassy in Kabul and negotiate with the Taliban. I mean, it's certainly transformed. I'll give him that.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure women and girls will say that the country is safe for them. You know, there are girls who are banned from education, women who are banned from work. Beauty salons are being closed down. Anyone who tries to define Taliban rules is, you know, flogged, beaten up, fined, maybe even killed. But apart from that, it's safe. Apart from that, it is proper safe. You know, maybe, you know, and then he went on BBC arguing with their journalist Yalda Hakim, asking her, oh, "Have you even been to Afghanistan? Do you even know what it's like?" Excuse me, Maate, hello. She's of Afghan origin, and she has been. She's been to the country to report from there, just like mansplaining Afghanistan.
Chewing on his own foot for the last fortnight, hasn't he? By the sounds of it.
Yeah. I mean, he got shot down by a bit of friendly fire after that video. You know,
it reminds me of you know who Yvonne Ridley is?
Oh my god! I mean, I had to go at Yvonne Ridley once on Twitter.
In person or on Twitter? Oh, right.
No, on Twitter. I mean, this is a woman who was kidnapped by the Taliban and converted to Islam.
It is. There is an aspect of Stockholm syndrome going on here because she's an Islamic convert, isn't she? But she, like, there's a thread that I've involved in. I have to put it in the show notes, and it started in like 2021 when the Taliban started taking over. So she tweeted out. This is from August 2021. She tweeted out, I remember while in prison in Kabul, the Taliban governor spoke to women prison wardens. Yes, they employed women, and they burst out laughing. I asked what was so funny and was told he'd said, I have to go and see the boss. The boss was his wife. Hashtag Afghan women strong. Hashtag Afghan women rock. Now, she tweeted this out.
Oh, I remember that bollocks, yeah.
And this wasn't tweeted out as just random opinion in a vacuum. This was right in the middle of a massive debate about what's going to happen to the women in Afghanistan as the Taliban are taking over. She used to reply. She doesn't reply anymore because it's now clear, because she was basically like, just wait and see, the Taliban aren't misogynist monsters, I should know, etc. And then it's just every single bit of progress that had been made to women's rights there has been rolled back by the Taliban, and she's gone completely silent on it. So I don't understand people like that at all. But I think we've completed it again for a month.
Yeah.
Achievement unlocked. World put to rights.